What's that?
Have rollerblades resurged? Because I've been driving around and I just see all these people on rollerblades.
Well, yeah, because the problem is that there's no bikes. There's like a massive bikes shortage. People can't.
Bike shortage?
Yeah, there is. So
there's like a whole column of them at Walmart and stuff, isn't there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I don't know. I'm not going to disparage Walmart bikes, but I don't know. It depends on who you're buying it for. But there's a huge like shortage of bikes. There's way more interest in obtaining a bike than there is actual product. There's actually the product that installs. A huge article about this, and I think the Financial Post about it. So yeah. So I took my son bike shopping on Friday, and we went to one store, and they're like, oh, this guy bought two, but he's only going to keep one of them. I said, okay, it's a nice bike, and she's like, yeah, with tax and it starts at $699. I said, what? And she goes, well, it's got like a lifetime warranty on the
$6.
It has a lifetime warranty on the frame. I'm like, the kid's 12. He when he jumps off his bike, he throws it to the ground.
He can have it until he's like 40, 50. The same bike.
Yeah, I'm not paying $600 for a bike. So
I just thought it was weird because I'm like I was a rollerblader when I was growing up.
Yeah,
I remember it transitioned to all just skateboards, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of skaters on the road. All of a sudden, I'm seeing all these rollerbladers, and I'm like, what happened? Did all the other product of stuff like dry up, and people just started? Well, I got these old rollerblades. Let me soup them up. So
that's
I don't
what they're doing.
Going on.
Did you do jumps? Did you do jumps when you had your rollerblades? I used to do jumps
not crazy. Oh,
over shopping carts. I used to do jumps over shopping carts.
That's some white boy shit.
Yeah.
We did. And thus Jackass and all that stuff emerged from.
That's right, because of
boys like Rob jumping over. Like, we just go down the hill. There's a little curb. I'll hop over the little curb. We
went full on like down a hill over a shopping cart, lit them on fire with kerosene. Yeah, it was great.
and thus Jackass begins. Anyways, what's up, folks?
Hey, everybody.
Sorry, I literally just got home like a couple minutes ago. So I don't know what's going on. What are we doing today? What do we do? I don't know what's going on.
Oh man, it's a crazy day. So welcome to everybody in the chat. Hey guys and girls, it's great to see everybody joining us. This is John. I don't know. It's kind of bittersweet. We are at the end of our Snyderverse watching a rewatch of all of these movies. To recap for those who may not have joined us, we started off the month of March watching Man of Steel. We did Batman versus Superman, the extended edition. Last week we watched the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, and then tonight we are just going to be recapping and kind of answering everybody's questions and wanting any points I want to talk about of the Zack Snyder Justice League cut, which I have to say, John, in retrospect, I'm really glad that we saw this, the theatrical version between 7 and 10 days ago, because, man, there's a whole bunch of changes that were made. So welcome, everybody, to the Heroes World Sidekick Show. This guy right here, there he is. That's John Ho. And I'm Rob Gadet. And, we are good to go.
I was doing my robot.
I know it's so hard because I'm trying to point at you, but then I realized it's pointing back this way. So now that's stupid. Damn.
Anyways, a mirrored camera effect aside, it's great to see everyone in the chat. It looks like people are excited, and it's a good thing because I didn't have any time to prep anything else. So I think we're just talking all Snyder all night.
That's pretty
shout out
much
to everybody. I'm really regretting a quick shout out to the comments. Gordon saying, if you have a bike, sell it. Man, how many bikes have most of us probably junked that were like, the chain is rusted, which is a simple fix.
Sure.
How many of those bikes and frames and stuff that maybe you had in your backyard or shed or you cleaned up from your parents' house that we just chucked, and you could probably get a good something for it right now. So it's kind of funny how things have changed. It's nuts.
Yeah. It is nuts. So yes, Gordon's right. If you do happen to have a bicycle in your garage or storage somewhere, sell it. Or if your kids' bikes kids have outgrown their current bikes, there's a lot of families who are looking for bikes for younger kids. So hit up your local Facebook groups, and I'm sure you can find somebody who would like to take it off your hands.
Yeah. I wonder if that lifetime lifetime warranty was transferable, Rob. Yeah, like if you were like, when you sell your bike, you'd be like, it's an additional $150 because I have the balance of this lifetime warranty.
Right. My grandkids have got the lifetime warranty on this frame. Say, my great grandfather.
Great grandfather got me this bike. It's still good, man. I used to want to buy Before we get off bikes, I really wanted to buy a fixed chain bike, which is like the old school BMX style because it doesn't have the gears and stuff.
Yeah.
After watching Gordon Joseph Levitt, did I say it right?
You did.
Yeah, Gordon Joseph Levitt movie.
Gordon Joseph. Now you got me, Gordon Joseph Levitt. Yeah, you're right.
Got you. All right. Anyways, we're just gonna say I'm gonna call everyone Gordon.
That guy. Yeah.
What's up? But yeah, he did a movie called, I think it was called Premium Rush, where he's a bike messenger, and it's actually a really fun movie if you guys are looking for something fun to watch. But anyways, I'll hit the new releases, which I didn't work on, so I've only got one for you. We are getting a nice hardcover edition of an Image book called Skyward, which is a pretty cool book. The concept is the gravity on Earth has kind of like I don't know if it's increased or no, it's reduced. It's reduced by a certain amount. So that
if it was increased, we'd all be flattened.
It would be flattened. But it's being reduced. So like you can. It's almost like you're living in space, and kind of some of the population ended up floating into the sky and disappearing. But it's about how they're kind of carrying on in this world where they have to now harness themselves down and do workouts and stuff to keep their muscles in shape and stuff like that. So we're getting that really cool hardcover. Image does a lot of really fun books. So if you're looking for something fun, Skyward, and we're getting a bunch of other stuff, but I didn't have time to look at it today because we're going Snyder. I don't know, Rob, do you have any? I was going to call you Scott. Rob, do you have any news that you want to get to that is not Snyder related or is Snyder related?
We didn't really talk about this, John. Okay, so I can throw a couple things together that I thought about, or I guess what I saw. This is really off the fly here. So a couple of weeks, I guess more than a couple weeks ago, but a few months ago, there was word that Michael Keaton was talking about re-entering the DC universe as reprising his role as Batman from the '89 Batman Tim Burton movies as part of the upcoming Flash movie that's being directed by Andy Muschietti. Now apparently Machete. Now apparently Michael Keaton has said he's not quite sure if he's going to have time to actually commit to the role or not. Listen, here's my 2 cents on this: is that you can't now believe anything you hear from a lot of these actors as it pertains to their roles and things. Look at Tatiana Maslany, who denied being in She-Hulk, and sure enough, she was.
What are you talking about? I haven't met anyone for this movie whatsoever. Like, I don't understand the misdirect. Like, what? Why? Just admit it and be like, okay, they got the scoop on us. Like, why this mystery?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Listen, at the end of the day, there was concept art that was released as part of the DC fandom with the Batman '89 figure alongside with the Flash, and that Batman is who gives the Flash, who will be played by this guy from the Justice League movie, Ezra Miller. He'll be giving him a new suit. That guy.
But maybe not as much now.
So at any rate, so that was news. There's also news that came out today that the president of Warner Brothers, and I can't remember her name at the top of my head, she has pretty much come out and said, hey, glad all of you enjoyed the Snyder Cut. There's no more Snyder movies, Snyder DC EU movies coming out.
But there is this black and white version coming out that Arkham Corner mentions, right?
Yes. So that is, there's supposed to be a reveal on that. I believe it's tomorrow or Wednesday, where Zack Snyder is releasing information on Justice is Gray. That's the actual title of the movie. That will be on HBO Max in the US, alongside the current, Justice League that is on there. No information as to whether or not that is coming to Crave in Canada. So I have no clue. There's also a lot of confusion as to whether or not this movie will be released on Blu-ray in the near future. So I think we had originally were under the impression that it would be released and that this Justice is Gray would be a special feature, much like how Logan has the 2 versions. But now there's word that they may not release this on Blu-ray because it could live on HBO Max for eternity, as long as the bike frame warranty. So that's kind of shitty, I'll be honest with you, because I kind of want this movie for my collection. And they have also shot down, Warner Bros. Also shot down the rumors of any David Ayer director's cut of Suicide Squad, to which David Ayer replied with a big sad emoji today on Twitter. So,
but remember, they originally said this Snyder cut does not exist. Like they said, stop asking for it. It doesn't exist. Like they really claimed that this footage was non-existent. So money talks, popularity talks. Keep hitting them in the social media, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if we want to see this happen. So yeah, I don't know. Do we want to jump in some quick comments?
Yeah. So I thought
Gordon said he was going to teach me to ride a fixie. I'm down with that. If you want to teach me how to drift and do those tricks that were in that movie. So if you haven't watched it, I'm pretty sure it's called Premium Rush.
Yeah.
But watch that. It's a ton of fun. Like next day after, or even the night after, I was on the internet going, how do I get one of these bikes?
I love those. I actually asked my son, I said, do you want to get a BMX bike? I had one as a kid, and he was like, no, I don't. I want the gears because I don't want to do more work than I have to. All right. So John and I have, John's got a couple of games I think are a game for tonight, talking about the Snyder cut. But we also thought, listen, you hopefully have listened to our main review that we released last night with John and myself, Stu and Andre, where we talk about our thoughts on the Snyder cut. There's obviously a lot of stuff that didn't get brought up or didn't get said. We'll talk a little bit about it, but we actually want to hear from all of you. What your thoughts are? What questions do you have after watching this? As silly as they may be, there is no such thing as a stupid question, John, or any comments, and we'll just really feed off of everybody's comments and what you thought. So I, we could get into that, John, unless you want to start off with your game, or
let's talk a little bit. I was thinking, what we got to do. So I think Arkham Corner did bring up, he didn't understand the criticisms in our main review. So we won't go too much because some people maybe not have watched that review, but yeah, we can't expect everyone to like this movie. I feel like, us, especially, the regulars that tuned in here, kind of stacked the deck, and I mentioned it during the podcast. We kind of stacked the deck in favor of us actually enjoying this movie. So, right. Like we rewatched all the originals before. We talked about it a lot. We watched the original cut, and then we kind of everyone sat down, and if you're lucky, maybe you had a friend over, or you had a significant other that was willing to watch it with you, or something like that. And hopefully you enjoyed it, and maybe some people aren't as into it, like on. Like Andre and Stu on our panel, they weren't super excited when this was even announced, but they were willing to watch it for our podcast, and they want to give criticisms in it. And I think it's good that we actually hear that. If everyone doesn't like the movie, you can't expect everyone to always like the same things, because if we all like the same things, that'd be pretty boring. Like if we were playing a video game or a fighting game and everyone picked Raphael or whatever their favorite thing was, and everyone was Batman, and nobody picked any of the other characters, that would kind of suck. So let's keep an open mind and make sure we allow other people to not like it, but provide a criticism of why they don't like it, instead of just going, I hate everything Snyder does. I hate this. I'm like, so why are you watching a 4-hour movie? You're not going to like it, Yeah. But I don't know if Rob, you have anything to say to that effect. Like, I think most of us here are going to be pretty positive for it. I was really happy with it. I can't wait to watch it again. So sorry, Rob, go ahead.
I was going to say, listen, we discussed it yesterday, and as much, I think you and I are obviously the most positive about it based on our main episode that came out yesterday. So if you want to watch it, definitely hit it up after on the links. But even I had said, it's not a perfect movie. It is bloated by a lot, and you can knock off a good portion of, like, make 40 minutes or so to make it a really nice, concise 3.25 movie. But that's okay. We're okay. It's okay to have, differing opinions. I wasn't a fan of the nomadic singers or Icelandic singers.
I was fine with it. I don't know why.
But some other people really kind of enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought
it was weird, but I wasn't like, why?
I liked the flash scene in slow motion with her, so her hair was weird. But so I wasn't a big fan of that song choice. But there's other people who really liked that song that spoke to the narrative. So it's okay to have differing opinions. That's what makes this whole thing fun, and that's what it's all about, is having fun. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this. It would be a really shitty night if we were just like, I don't want to do it at all, and we weren't here. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah. Okay. So we've addressed that, and now let's just have some fun. I'm not saying you can't be mad at someone for hating it. Hey, sure, it's always good to say, hey, you know what? What's that Family Guy scene where he's just like, this sucks, that sucks, Krypton sucks, just to get people going, Sure, fine. Yeah. If you want to go back and forth with somebody, but I like to have, like, open, and I'll be like, hey, you know what? You didn't like it, fine, whatever. Yeah. I'll take this copy of whatever, and I'll just keep it for myself.
Hey, one thing we didn't mention yesterday, John, I have two words. I want to see what your thoughts are. Ryan Choi. We didn't talk about this yesterday.
This is the Atom, right?
Yeah. Like,
Adam
he had a pretty significant role.
Oh yeah, huge. Like that guy was non-existent in the original Josh Whedon cut. So I don't know. So the game I had planned was we were going to take all the main characters from the movie, and we were going to throw them in a bracket, and we were going to see which character in relation to I like to call it winning the movie, but even just their contribution or their representation in the movie, which characters had the best moments and which ones were maybe underutilized or something like that. So I don't know if we want to dive into that, and that will lead into all these different character discussions. But I think we can already jump into the comments now and talk a little bit about what people are bringing up, and then after that, I don't know if Rob has any more that he wants to nerd out about. We can give Rob a chunk of time to just nerd out.
No, it's okay. I'm sure lots of people will be probably bringing it up. I know that I saw somebody had talked about the Green Lantern. I don't know if I can find it because the cost is just flying about Green Lantern.
Yeah, thanks everyone for jumping in. I'm gonna have to. I like to go back and read the comments. This is awesome, and I'm happy that everyone's kind of going back and forth in there as well.
But that Green Lantern
hope to get in there, but yeah.
That Green Lantern scene was wicked, right? Like when he was fighting, and then all of a sudden, like first of all, in the original theatrical fight, you couldn't see who the type of a Green Lantern that was. You knew it wasn't obviously one of the ones that we've been used to. And then to see his hand get lopped off by Darkseid, I was like, that was just so badass. It was so funny, right? I was like, he's toast, right? I mean, that type of shit was funny. Oh, here it is. Okay, so somebody here. Warner Bros. Gave the act on Green Lantern being Justice League. Okay, yes, you're right. So this is something, and I don't know if so that Martian Manhunter scene at the very end, it was actually supposed to be Green Lantern. And Snyder has kind of come out and said Ryan Reynolds was all ready to do this cameo, but Warner's put a kibosh on Hal Jordan and or John Stewart appearing, I guess because they have this upcoming HBO Max Green Lantern Corps series. So they had to then reuse Martian Manhunter, even though they had kind of shown him in that scene when Martha goes to visit Lois. So you're on mute, John.
Sorry, yeah, John's they already had the Martian Manhunter render, so they were like,
let's just
why not just why not just slip the skinning or whatever onto another actor. I feel like I'm sorry if I'm mentioning things that I've talked to any of you guys in here. I got a lot of messages about this movie, but I mentioned that Superman could have just come back at the end. So instead of getting double dose of Martian Manhunter, we could have had a Superman Batman moment. But who knows? Maybe they made the call for whatever reason. I would have really loved to see Tyrese's John Stewart in there, but I know that's not going to happen.
What did you think of the black costume, Superman's black costume?
I like it. There's I don't know what this thing is called, but there was the time when Spider-Man switched to a black costume, and people really love it, even though it's actually less detail. It's just straight up black.
It was easier to draw.
And it's very simple. It's not even a redesign, right? And they're saving on ink and all that kind of stuff. But I liked it. I thought it really worked. Even at the end, he was still wearing the black costume when they're all like kind of like reemerged as the Justice League. So they do sell a version of it on UD replicas. So if you want to either you ride a motorbike and you really want to go make some kid's day as you're driving down the highway or whatever, or if you just want to ball out when you cosplay, you can go get one. You can get the jacket, the pants, and I think the boots. You'd have to get your own cape, but yeah.
Good question by Jonathan. He's asking, is Martian Manhunter that guy the entire time, which was General
Swan something.
Swan, yeah. So yeah, that's the idea, Jonathan, that apparently he was Martian Manhunter the entire time. That was, I guess, the original intent and the original idea. So yeah, I don't know, like it or not. I don't know. That's just the direction Zack Snyder. I guess the problem is now there's a whole bunch of comments being released that Zack Snyder has made, and I don't want it, about Lois being pregnant. Apparently, at the end of the movie, he, when Clark
there's a pregnancy test. Don't they show a pregnancy test in a drawer that she opens? Is that this cut?
No, I don't know if it was this, but there's at the very end when Bruce he's like, how did you, I bought the bank. And he goes, oh, congratulations. And somebody's carrying a bassinet into the house. I don't remember.
No. When Lois is in bed, I think she opens her drawer and gets something out of it. And there's a pregnancy test in there. and I saw it. Yeah, so Arkham Corner confirms that he saw that too. Yeah, I was like, oh, and then the movie keeps moving, so I didn't notice it was gone later on. So, do you want to hit some more comments, or you want to start character game?
Arkham Corner again says Black Suit Superman is pretty sweet. In retrospect, the traditional suit worked in Man of Steel more. I agree. The only thing I didn't like about the black costume is that at the very end, when he opens, when he's in the his Clark Kent garb, the tan overcoat, and then he rips open his chest, he still has the black suit underneath. Now, if you actually look at the behind the scene photos, and if you go onto the HBO Max YouTube page today, they've released the making of. It's about 6 minutes long, but Clark or Henry Cavill is in the traditional red and blue costume. Zack Snyder actually digitally altered it to be the black costume to kind of appease fans' hunger or thirst for this. Fine. I just didn't. Why does he need to keep wearing it afterwards? It was kind of weird to me, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick mention that I'm going to pull this off for a second. That Hot Toys is actually doing the black costume Superman, and then they are repackaging what's called the Nightmare Batman, and a lot of merchandise is coming out for this black costume Superman. So I don't know if maybe that's the reason why they decided to push the costume so much. And Iron Studios is also releasing a 1/10 scale statue in the black costume. So if you like Superman in the black costume. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And McFarlane is doing a whole line of the action figures from the Justice League, which should be out anytime now. A couple of weeks, I want to say. You'll probably see them hitting the shelf. All right.
All right. Do you want to jump into the game, and then we can jump back to the comments?
Let me start the game, and okay. I kind of thought this game through, but we're going to see how it goes and if it starts taking too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to shove all the main characters, according to Wikipedia, into character generator. So I'm actually going to pop it up right now and see if it's big enough for you guys, or at least Rob, to read. So we're gonna
get to it, Gordon. Don't worry.
Yeah. So I've taken all the main characters according to Wikipedia. I don't know if you can read this up here. Batman, Superman, Lois Lane, Nudis Volko, I think, is Willem Dafoe, right?
Yeah, Volko. Yeah.
Alfred, Hippolyta, Wonder Woman's mom, Ryan Choi, the Atom, Mira, and it goes all the way down to Manelope, who is the right hand for Hippolyta. Wonder Woman's she gets a bunch of lines in this. Ares, I don't even think he had a speaking part. Iris West, Darkseid, and then did throw in Joker, Martian Manhunter, and stuff like that. Yep. So this is a little bit different than our usual brackets, because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have a couple rounds of them showing off, and we'll kind of get an idea of which characters we like best in this movie, and which characters are kind of either didn't have enough screen time or whatever. So I'm actually going to hit shuffle seeds. So sometimes we kind of stack it and put more important characters in the top, but since I'm going to hit it twice just for good luck. And then let's get the conversation going. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hit bracket. Actually, I guess you guys, whatever. So you guys are in for this bracket. And I got a Twitch advertisement popping up here. So let me. At least it's not playing sound. All right, that would have been a disaster. All right, let me go back here and let that advertisement play.
Okay.
And then we'll jump into that, and we'll just quickly kind of go through which characters we thought were better in each of these rounds. And people can comment as we're kind of doing it about what they liked or disliked about that character. Yeah. So let's go. All right. So my ads are gone now. So let's see if we can see this now. Sorry. Okay. So round one, Cyborg and Hippolyta. So I think Cyborg goes through. He's definitely going to be in the top of this movie. I think for sure. So we'll kind of go through these a little bit quickly, and I think it'll get more interesting towards the end. So definitely, can you see the comments, Rob? If anyone wants to start jumping in, we'll have there'll be like a 10-second or so delay between when we're saying stuff and we see the comments. So we'll try and talk a little bit about that. But I feel like Cyborg, like it was stated before, is the
people are saying movie. Cyborg, John, that they agree with. Jonathan and Gordon are both saying Cyborg. So there's a bit of a delay.
So Silas Stone, or how do you pronounce it? Silas Stone, and Martian Manhunter. So Stylus. I think that's a cool name.
Stylus, yes, but it's Silas.
Silas. Anyways, Martian Manhunter, versus Cyborg's dad. Silas. Silas had a wicked part in this movie. Like, I don't know if people want to chime in. We mentioned some of our favorite moments during the previous podcast, which I think I will. I was put on the spot and I couldn't pinpoint something exactly, but I think I will pinpoint Silas leaving the tape recorder for Cyborg and that kind of whole story arc, which I thought was really good. And his sacrifice at the end, like how heroic was that? Like getting himself cooked. So they
knowing
could track
what would happen. Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of clever. Instead of just going, oh, he teleported the box away or he did something to the box or whatever, he just superheated it so they could track it and find out where it was.
Yeah, that was amazing. Also, can we just make sure we understand that Joe Morton is the actor? He also was in T2, and he created
Miles Dyson.
Skynet. So
he did he almost did a very similar thing, sacrificing himself.
He did,
in that movie. So he's that guy that sacrifices himself. I'm surprised in Speed. He's actually also in Speed. I think he's Keanu Reeves, commander boss. Or something like that. I'm surprised he didn't sacrifice himself in that. So Lewis chimes in and says Martian Manhunter didn't get to do anything. He just kind of got a bunch of cameos, which I think is true. He did look cool as hell.
He did, and actually, I got to say, he looked better than the Jim Lee, because Jim Lee, that cover for Justice League came out last week, and it kind of spoiled the look of Martian Manhunter. But admittedly, the look in the movie I thought was way better than Jim Lee's cover. So
it was a cool. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. If you ever go look up Martian Manhunter's old school look, which is the suspenders, shirtless, with a blue cape and stuff like that, I'm glad that look is kind of no longer what he's rocking right now. It does look vintage as hell.
Yes.
So our next matchup is Batman versus Deathstroke. As cool as Deathstroke is, he's not going to win this matchup. But don't worry, he's going to be back next round, and we'll see who he goes against next round. So I feel like that's an easy
you got to go Batman.
And we're going to talk about Batman a lot coming up anyways.
Yep.
Iris West versus Lois Lane. So I think Lois Lane got a lot more to do in this movie. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Rob. Like, got a whole different character arc in this, right?
She did. Yeah, you actually saw... You saw her sadness, her missing M. She was delivering. She kept going to the scene of the battle, I guess. What would you call that?
Memorial.
Memorial. Thanks. She was going there every
Superman
day.
statue.
Yeah. Did you see who the cop was?
Commented they didn't fix it. Yeah, I heard that's Jimmy Olsen from the original.
It is. It was Mark McClure, who was Jimmy Olsen in the original Superman movies. Also, though, in the Whedon cut, he was the prison guard who lets Barry Allen in. Remember when Barry Allen's in line to see his dad?
That scene they cut where he draws the glasses on that.
Yeah,
which is a dead giveaway that he has flash powers, because there's no way to explain that otherwise.
But Mark McClure was that prison guard. So I was glad. And it was also one of those things when it's like, when you're watching the movie, the Whedon cut, I was like, there's a male police officer, but there was the female, like, who's this male police officer? Now it kind of makes a bit more sense that they had really spliced those things together. So yeah, for sure, Lois Lane. Unfortunately for Iris West, she didn't say a single word, and you actually wouldn't know that she was Iris West unless it was just listed in the credits, and she was the press release.
She was cast. She did have a hella pimp vintage car, which is
she did. She did say, she said, come on. So maybe that was it, but that was it. So yeah.
I think she had a few lines with Flash. So Stephen Wolf versus Ares. I think that's an Ares. I think that's an easy one. So we'll talk more about those two guys later.
Yep.
Manelope and Mira. Okay, so Manelope, which is, like I said, the right hand of Queen Hippolyta. Right. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. So if someone can
it doesn't make phonically, phonetically, John. It's not phonically. It's phonetically.
I thought it's phonics.
Yeah, but it's hooked on phonics, but it's phonetics.
Okay. Anyways, sorry, we're gonna go fast because we gotta do 4 rounds of this.
Okay.
And Mira had the British accent.
It was a really bad British accent.
Or was it a royal accent?
Well, she doesn't have it in Aquaman movies. So it's really funny knowing that she's come back to do the nightmare scene and has to reuse an accent she actually never used in the Aquaman movie, but I digress. Yeah, Mira.
So we had to give to Mira. She did a little bit more. Aquaman, this is a funny matchup that this happened. So William Dafoe versus Jason Momoa.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Volko.
Sorry, Volko, you lose this match, but you'll be back next match. So some of these auxiliary characters that didn't get much time, you'll see them kind of come up against each other. So the nature of a Swiss style pairing system is people of equal record will start going up against each other. So we'll probably see Superman, Batman, Cyborg all in the final.
Sure.
And the other characters will be facing each other in the lower tiers, which is fine. So, but I'm pretty sure everyone's going to say Momoa or Momo.
Someone said Momo. Aquaman.
Did I say Momo?
Nobody.
Yeah, Momoa.
Yeah, somebody Momo.
A big turn in his character. You know, did he say the dresses like a bat? I dig it, or was that completely cut?
That was no, that was not, because that scene you're thinking of is in the theatrical version. When you see there's the theatrical version had 2 scenes with Jim Gordon on the roof, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like you're playing with others." And then Batman's like, "It won't last long," and that's when Momoa shows up and he's like, "Dress like a bat." I dig it. Yeah, so that was a complete Whedon.
I don't know if he's like. I guess we'll see it when we start kind of seeing how the results are. But he's one of the characters that I kind of I liked in both versions, right? You know, he kind of saw in the Josh Whedon version upon the rewatch, even though at first I was kind of like, oh, too bro-ish, but I really dug it on the second watch. And then this one, I feel like he had a really huge kind of, I don't know.
It was a different turn. He was more serious. He was more serious, but he was also more compassionate. He wasn't as goofy. So, oh man, this is tough. I got to give it to the Flash. The only reason I say it's tough is because I really like Ryan Choi. I thought his character was amazing in the movie. But the Flash all the way.
Yeah, but this is first round. We'll see him. He might rise to the top in the later rounds. So Flash for sure. He's one of the main characters. You got a hell more to do in this version. So we'll talk about this one's going to be a quick one. Joker and Wonder Woman. I don't know how cool you thought Joker was, but definitely Wonder Woman takes that. And we'll keep it moving because we're gonna have to do another couple rounds. So I don't know if this is gonna get tiresome by that time we hit round 3, 4, but hopefully you guys stick with you guys. Sorry. So James, this is a little bit up for debate. Jim Gordon and Martha Kent.
It's funny because
Martha Kent I feel had less to do in this movie, right?
She had that. No. So in the Whedon cut, she talked to Lois in the lunchroom.
Do we count the other scene, the Martian Manhunter scene, as her, or do we count it as Martian Manhunter?
Well, that's a very good, and that was what I was going to say. In this scene, she had that really long talk, but it's not really her. However, part of me wonders though if that actually was her, and then Zach changed it to have the Martian Manhunter cameo, so that he kind of just wedged that in there. I don't think that was part of his original vision. So I'm going to go with Martha Kent, to be honest with you.
Martha Kent. All right. Yeah. We'll give the people a second to jump in on this one because I feel like this one's actually, I think a lot of people are actually saying Jim Gordon. The Martha Kent, like if we had to cut one Martian Manhunter cameo, I feel like I would cut him taking credit for that speech, that Martha speech.
Me too.
Lois. I feel like Martha was capable, having raised Superman, of giving Lois that speech to get her back in the mix. So Lois, I like that they took away the whole her writing fluff pieces type thing, and then like that one guy comes in and goes, "Who's your source?" That whole thing, and then that also had the alien probe gag in there. Like I'm glad that was all gone.
It's kind of we have a lot. It feels like it's tipping towards Gordon, but there's a fair amount. See, now it's almost equal now. Martha, people saying Martha over, and they're both equals who they're voting for. Personally, I think Martha Kent over Gordon, but because I think Gordon had less to do in this movie than he did in the Whedon cut.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let me see. I feel like we're in the comments. We look like we're tied, so we're gonna go with. So, what did you say, Martha Kent?
I said Martha. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with Martha for now, and we're gonna keep. This is not eliminating people, guys. They're actually gonna be back in the next round.
Oh,
I know we typically do a single elimination. So Superman versus Darkseid. Even though Superman had Darkseid.
You work in a complex store. How do you not know this?
I don't have to pronounce all the characters properly in person. and I can kind of like mumble my way. Darth, but Superman, of course. Even though he did have a much shorter part, but I liked the part that he had in it.
Yes.
This is no question. We've been doing the last couple of rewatches.
Alfred come
through. I feel like Alfred is going to be up there. Just on that crafting the tea scene alone, that was like, how good was that?
Jonathan says Darkseid looked awesome, but died like a chump. He didn't dump. That wasn't Darkseid, Jonathan. That was Steppenwolf.
Well, he got taken out like a chump. He got an axe to the shoulder.
Okay, but he did. But he was
called timeout and bounced.
Yeah, but that was a younger version, right? Like I always found when I watched it, I was like, this is like a younger version of Darkseid. He didn't have the full armor and everything else like that, so I was okay with it. All right, round 2.
Yeah, all right. So round 2. So this is where it differs from what we normally do. All the characters are still in play. So now we have Hippolyta and Ryan Choi. So the Adam versus I don't know about that.
That's tough because Hippolyta, like, dude, that scene where she's rescuing the mother box and she runs up that wall and then spins and slices that parademon, like she was that was some serious ass kicking, man. Like I really enjoyed Ryan Choi.
Amazonians definitely got a level up in this. But I feel like they are a little bit under discussed because we did see a little bit of them, I guess, in the original cut. And they are at the beginning of the movie. So later on as the movie progresses, I guess people don't remember how cool those early scenes were with them. But that was pretty epic. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I feel bad I'm cutting you off. There was one thing I wanted to ask you though. The scene where she's talking to the arrow before she launches it to warn Diana, it lost accent. Did you notice that? And I wondered if anybody else noticed that or not. But she has this accent at the beginning of the movie and everything else, and then it's gone when she's talking and saying, Diana, I hope you get this.
I think Amber Heard's crazy English royalty accent surpassed anybody's notice of accents reappearing and disappearing. I like that ceremony that they had with the arrow. I don't think that's in the original cut.
Nope. There is an arrow, but it's not like that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the Amazonian stuff, I don't know if any of it was done after the fact, but I feel like with Zack Snyder going, hey, why don't you give the next Wonder Woman movie to me? Those action scenes and everything. I will say it's still kind of suspect that they were all ready to pounce on that mother box opening.
Yep.
And then Steppenwolf comes through and they proceed to let him give his speech. But less so in this version. Because the other version, goat version of Steppenwolf got to like kind of walk around and like give a whole speech. But I'm like, if you're ready to murder whatever comes with that box, do it. Murder that guy.
Exactly. What are you waiting for? He's like, I'm going to bask in your fear. And she's like, show him our fear. And they yell, we have no fear. So, I'm going to go with Hippolyta. Although I got to say, I don't want to do a disservice to the actor and who portrayed Ryan Choi. He did an amazing job. And I was like really glad the amount of time he had and it wasn't just a throwaway character.
Yeah. All right. Next match, James Gordon and Deathstroke. I feel like we're going to need help on this one. But I think
Deathstroke.
Yeah. The ending scene. They tuned up his armor. Did they change the colors on it or something like that?
And made it more a little bit. He's got the faux hawk going on, and also the scene that was not in this cut, the Snyder cut, was where Luthor asks him. He goes, "Well, if we should have a league of our own," and obviously the league, the League of Doom, right? But that wasn't in this version of it's where he told him the name of Batman.
He pulls a Spider-Man Far From Home or whatever it's called.
Right. Yeah, and unveils the secret identity. So listen, man, I want to see a Deathstroke movie. I mean, that would, just think about it, right? I mean, this would have set up that was Ben Affleck's Batman movie was Deathstroke versus Batman. So I'm gonna go Deathstroke.
All right, let's go. Let's move Deathstroke forward. I feel like Jim Gordon actually got reduced time.
He did.
Superman versus Alfred Pennyworth. Ooh. I kind of want to give it to Alfred, but I don't know. I don't know if Superman Big 3 gets an auto pass.
Listen, the way we saw him kick the crap out of Steppenwolf in the first movie, but he took off Steppenwolf's horn. In this, like, I guess that's what it is. Is it a horn? He blasted it off with his heat vision. He was a much more brutal. Like it felt like he was more powerful in this movie than he was in the theatrical cut. I don't know, but I think this movie, Alfred had a lot more to do and was a lot more of a vital role overall. And I like that scene where Batman's introducing the team. He goes, "This is Alfred. I work for him." I think that was hilarious. As much as I really enjoy Alfred, I think we got to go with Superman.
All right, so are we sending Alfred like in the comments?
No, I think we're sending.
But the comments might be biased.
Superman, one Alfred, Superman. I say we go Superman.
Superman. Okay, we'll do it for now. It's Superman. I mean, Alfred's gonna have to make a comeback. I'm not going to butcher the name again. Cyborg's dad.
Silas Stone.
Silas. Miles Dyson.
Cyberdyne.
Versus Mira. Silas.
Silas.
I don't know why it just falls out of my brain. Silas Stone. I think Silas Stone takes it. That heroic sacrifice at the end.
Yep.
Sorry, my one daughter's going crazy, so we're going to try and power through. Lex Luthor and Darkseid. I think this is one of the worst representations of Lex Luthor in all the trilogies.
Yes.
So this Snyder cut did not fix Lex Luthor for me.
No.
I don't think it could have fixed it for anybody. So I think we have to give it to Darkseid.
Darkseid. Yep. Yeah. The next one. I go with her. Yeah.
So we're gonna rush through a couple of these so we don't keep you guys too long. Aquaman, Lois Lane, easy. Aquaman.
Yeah.
So Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman. Well, no, Wonder Woman killed this movie.
Yeah, you got to give it to her.
Yeah, Steppenwolf definitely was elevated as a villain. Much better villain.
Oh, way better. Yeah. All right. What's the
Iris and Nudis Volko? So, I want to say
I want to give it to Volko.
Because he's rocking the long hair. He brings Aquaman his trident in his suit. Tell him to step up and represent. So
right,
I think he's got to get it for sure.
Yeah. He threw his trident down. I'm down with that. Joker versus Ares. In this case, John, I'm going to go with Joker. Ares, he just used the Photoshop of his face from the first Wonder Woman movie and put it on there. He didn't really I know that it was his axe that took down.
He's credited. He's credited on the.
He is
right.
Yep. I didn't even know it was his axe, but I'm going to go with Joker.
Yeah. Oh, actually, a couple of people say Ares. I don't know if you're just doing it just because you don't like Jared Leto. But I think our 2 votes maybe count for more. I don't know. No, they don't. If you guys want to vote in for Ares, then go for it.
Joker had a prison masturbation joke in there about the reach around with Bruce Wayne. How do you not give it to Joker?
I thought that was weird.
I'm not saying it wasn't weird. I'm just saying, how do you not give it to the Joker? Listen, I prefer
the entire comments is all Ares. So I guess some people didn't like this Joker. So let's give it to Ares right now.
All right.
And we'll discuss that later. Yeah. So I guess some people not feeling this Joker. I did like it. I did like most of his speech, although I thought that was really weird. I don't know if you needed to bring that into, because you had avoided kind of sex jokes for the whole thing, and I feel like Joker's above them. I don't know, maybe not. So Batman and Martha Kent.
I guess you got to give it to Batman.
It's pretty easy. Do we think in Batman versus Superman that Bruce Wayne and Martha Kent hooked up? Because they had a moment there in Batman versus Superman.
Well, yeah, that was some of the prevailing theories to why Superman goes all mental because Batman took his woman.
Okay, this is real, so people got to get in the comments about this. Cyborg versus the Flash.
I know what I'm picking.
Would give it to Cyborg.
Nope, I'm going to give it to the Flash.
You would give it to Flash previously,
and I'll tell you
that you hated.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because the Flash has proven that he was the strongest member of the Justice League in this movie, because if not for the Flash, he reversed time and stopped what happened. He brought Superman back to life twice in this movie. He gave the spark to the mother box, and at the end, he ran faster than the speed of light to be able to reverse time, and you saw Superman reform his bone, skeletal structure, muscle mass, and suit and everything else. So you have, as much as Cyborg was instrumental on being almost the soul of this movie, which obviously the dichotomy being the fact that he's somewhat soulless because he's mostly machine. I have to give it to the Flash. The Flash going back in time and him talking to himself, saying, "You have to do this. You have to heal. Like you have to go fast. And telling his dad as he's running, if you hear this, just know that I was one of them. I made a difference." Like, you got to give it to the Flash, man.
That's cool. I think I might have missed that little nugget at the end. I probably didn't hear that because that's pretty heroic. So I like that. Okay, yeah, I think I'm just biased because I really like Cyborg. I really want Cyborg to finally be winning.
Liked him as well.
Although they've always done him a disservice to, especially in the comic realm right now. I feel like he definitely hasn't got his chance to shine. So there we go. There goes round 2. So now it's getting interesting. Now we're starting to see the higher matchups. So when we get to towards the end of these matchups, you'll see some crazy stuff going on. So Ares and Pennyworth, Alfred
Pennyworth,
hands down. Yep. Mira in so Willem Dafoe or Amber Heard. All her controversy aside, we're talking about characters here. We're not talking about actors, actresses.
I'm going to give it to Mira. She was trying. Because she manipulates water, and so when he's like kind of choke her out, he's like your powers.
That fight,
and then she started pulling out his blood. Yeah. So I would go with Mira for that. I mean, she was trying to pull the literally the liquid out of his body. So
that was cool, and I think he like I think did she like put it back and like choke his throat with it or something, or was he just?
I think he she was just
putting in his lungs.
Yeah, or maybe, but I saw the blood coming out of his mouth, right? So I thought she was trying to suck it all out of his system. So, which sounds dirty than I meant it to, but yeah.
it's the whole Magneto thing. Like if she can manipulate water, humans are whatever percent water. Scott, I could use your help here.
I think it's 82% water or whatever, right? So. Yeah.
Versus Magneto, like if he can manipulate iron in your blood and stuff like that, it's like these characters can stop you cold before you even do anything. So here you go, Mira. I don't know how much further you're going to go after that. Lex Luthor versus Joker. I feel like Joker does take this. I just don't think Lex Luthor cannot be improved, right?
Well, no, and he didn't do anything. There was no ad to his involvement whatsoever, which is fine. Because I don't think he didn't contribute anything to this. I think we can make an argument that Joker contributed something to this movie, right? So,
all right, okay, so yeah, Joker. Let's go, Joker. I'm sorry again. The comments are awesome, folks. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and get in there. So Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
This is my favorite comment so far of the night. Here we go.
Yeah.
Aquaman versus Wonder Woman. Can I just say, John, I'm going to give it to Wonder Woman. As much as I really enjoyed Aquaman's turn in this, there's that scene when they first start to fight Steppenwolf and they're trying to get the hostages back, and he says, leave her to me, she's mine, and he goes, I'm nobody's, and she just like is kicking the crap out of Steppenwolf. Like, I love that. Listen, you and I are both raising daughters.
I think she got more time.
Strong daughters. She was awesome. This is the Wonder Woman I wanted in 84, and we didn't get it. So I love Aquaman, but yeah, Wonder Woman for me.
Hippolyta versus Lois Lane. I think
Hippolyta
actually takes this because she kicks serious ass. Although the whole Lois going through the depression thing and having the ritual in the morning, and that's how they got her to be there when Superman comes up. I thought that was pretty clever, more clever than the whole Martha thing, I think.
Yep.
Steppenwolf and Deathstroke. Steppenwolf, come on, award for one of the most improved characters. It's definitely
for sure.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah,
motivation for what he's doing.
He was just more badass. He was more scary as a villain.
Oh yeah. And he had those weird spider things.
That was. I thought he was going to put it down the guy's throat. I didn't realize. Like, oh my god, what's he doing? But he was.
I thought it was like a Matrix thing. He was going to throw it in his throat.
That's right. Yeah.
And then when they're holding all the people hostage, when we're watching, we're like, why does he need to interrogate these guys? Why doesn't he use the spider? And he did use the spider.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man. Yeah. So, Martian Manhunter, James Gordon. I feel like the Manhunter was such a short cameo, unless we are considering the whole speech his, but I feel like it belongs to Martha Kent.
Yeah, Martha Kent. You mean James Gordon? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Martha Kent. Yeah, I'd go with Gordon on over the Manhunter one. Although I think that the Manhunter cameo at the end, I don't really want to count that mid cameo anymore. I think what happened at the end, even though I think that was, as we said before, shoehorn for a Green Lantern. It was cool to see him fully and to see him flying off, but I'll go with Gordon on this one.
Yeah. Looks like most of the people in for Gordon. All right. So Batman and the Flash.
Flash.
So I feel like, okay, so you're picking Flash, but even if Flash wins this, it does sound like he was pretty integral to the movie. Batman, what an elevation of Batman as well, improvement in character.
Yes.
He did not seem like an idiot chump in this one, with the whole, especially some of the jokes he fell victim to. Like, it's kind of like, you don't want to make your main character look silly by having Superman grab him and ask him if he bleeds, and then have him on the floor going, "Oh, something's bleeding." Like how silly is that? And I feel like the way he put together the Justice League overall was much smarter. Like, he kind of like gave Wonder Woman. I feel like in the first cut, it just didn't feel like he was really trying.
And interesting,
him actually wrenching on stuff, I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah. And he actually, in this cut, he fought a lot more, and he was a lot more fluid. He was the Batman we saw.
Yeah, he got the gauntlets.
Yeah, and the reason you didn't see Batman, if you go back and we all watch the theatrical version, the reason we didn't see him fighting that much is because Ben Affleck, I'm not faulting him, but he had gained so much weight in between. It was a problem for him to be able to move around in that suit, to be nimble, I guess you could say, and fight. In this Snyder cut, you see him. He's rolling, he's throwing. Like, he was a much more vicious Batman. So I loved his portrayal. And there's none of that, as you said, that stupid joking crap. None of that, well, I did not like you. Crap. There was none of that.
He still had the "I'm rich" line, which is, I think it was still a great line.
Oh yeah, sure. I want to go with
and Mercedes definitely got their money's worth, because, man, I wonder if they were pissed at the previous cut because they cut out so much of that product placement. Like, that car that Batman gets in is a completely original concept. It doesn't exist. So they gave him that for the movie, and it got relegated to like that pull-up scene, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then in this new cut, they get more screen time for that car, even though you can't buy it.
But that being said, so the Flash to me is taking this one. So
yeah. Sarah's making fun of your Batman impression.
Where are the drugs? I don't know. I swear, to me.
I think it's where the detonator.
No, in the first movie, Batman Begins. Where are the drugs?
No. Yeah, I think the detonators is funny.
Rachel.
Manel playing Darkseid. I don't think this is even a contest. Although, man, the Amazonian armor looked amazing in this movie, and I think we've already mentioned it during the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
I mean, not the Snyder, the original Josh Whedon cut. I don't know if it was more of a practical effect or something like that, but that armor looks really good.
In the
Cyborg,
cut.
Yeah. Cyborg Martha Kent, I think no contest.
Cyborg
can take this.
Yep.
Ryan Choi and Iris West, I think Ryan gets it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Choi? Yeah, Ryan.
Yep.
The Atom.
Yep.
Silas with the Superman.
Silas Stone.
Silas. Okay. How many times am I gonna screw it up?
Every time.
Mr. Stone versus Superman. That's a hell of a sacrifice. I'm gonna bring it up every round. That sacrifice.
Yeah, no, it is a great sacrifice.
Man.
And
but when Superman came on screen, a lot of pretty exciting when Superman shows up.
Well, that scene where he flies up into the air and he just basks in the sunlight, absorbing the rays of the yellow sun, right, as he's floating in his Jesus pose above the earth. I have to give it to Superman, because I think, how do you have Justice League without a Superman? But Silas Stone gets all the credit, man. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go Superman.
Yeah, all right, we'll go Superman, even though the contribution.
Because let me ask you this question though, John. Do you think though that they would have been able to properly defeat Steppenwolf if not for Superman?
No, that was the whole point of them resurrecting the Superman.
Yeah.
And I really liked that story element. If anyone wants to get in on that, the whole that there's no Kryptonian here. That's why they decided to strike. And when they're sitting around talking, and they're like, "I've never seen anyone as powerful as this guy, except for that one guy that just died fighting Doomsday." Let's not.
And that's what I liked about the Flash in this movie, is that in the first movie, in the theatrical cut, he was a dork. He was a dummy. He was right. And yet in this one, he was like, listen, we're all thinking it. I'll be the guy to say it. Superman. And he was smarter, right? He was like, it was his line of thinking that started, the whole the reverse engineering of the box of the house burning and smoke and this and that. So yeah, that was a great scene. Okay, Deathstroke versus Volko.
Volko, I think Deathstroke. Yeah,
Deathstroke.
He's just cooler. He gets a cool costume. Maybe Volko got a cool. He did get a cool costume in this. He did,
but at least
something that I've never seen him yet.
In the Aquaman movie, he had a man bun. In this, he was rocking the Willie Nelson long hair. But yeah.
Lois and Penelope. I think Lois.
Yeah, sure.
I want to say Lois, even though they feel like they didn't have a lot, either of them. Aquaman, Hippolyta. Have internet issues all of a sudden, probably.
Aquaman. Again, nothing to take away against Hippolyta. It's round 4. What do you expect?
All right.
Silas Stone versus Darkseid. I'm gonna go Silas on this one. Darkseid was great. You only really saw him for a few minutes, so Silas for sure.
Okay, Martha Kent Joker. I don't know about this.
Oh, sorry, I was tapping on my desk. Apparently, it's quite loud to do that.
I feel like I was looking more forward to seeing what this Joker had to offer. But I feel that they were pretty equal in their contributions to this movie.
This Joker,
but the Joker was not part of the main storyline.
No, you know no, and this Joker was an improvement over his portrayal in the Snyder in the Suicide Squad. David Ayer.
I was gonna wear. I'll wear it next week. I have this atrocious Suicide Squad shirt. It's like a tie dye, and I was gonna be like, "Yeah, release the Ayer cut," but I didn't have time to dig it up. But yeah, let's go not Joker, because it seems like Joker is a point of controversy. A lot of people don't like it, eh? A lot of people didn't like driving.
I like the Joker in this version. I'll be honest with you, I quite liked it.
Let's give it to Martha.
It looks like everybody's saying Martha. So
Joker is not contributing much to the story. It was more of like a fan service.
Well, and that's what we do. We do need, before the end of the show, we do need to talk about the nightmare scene and whether or not it was even needed. Okay,
Lex Luthor auto loses every round.
No, yes, he's
Lex,
out. Yeah.
He's pretty much. I hope he's at the bottom. Batman and Mira. Batman easily.
Batman. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to move quickly because I don't know if we have to go to a 5th round on this. So let's see. Wonder Woman. Okay. Wonder Woman Cyborg. I'm biased. Man. I choose Cyborg, but Wonder Woman had a hell of a showing in this movie.
She did, but I Cyborg. She had a lot of a showing in this movie, but she's had 3 movies in which we've got to know her. This was a completely not a new take, but a finally realized take of Cyborg, and Joss Whedon did this character, not just the actor, but the character, dirty in his cut. The way he made him and cut so much of this. Cyborg burying the mother box in his own grave to hide it. His conflict of him being a monster. The breaking down when he realizes he can't save his father, who he blames for his own creation, essentially, and blames him for the accident that his mother he was involved in. And yet it's his father that gives him the strength to be able to, as you said before, find Darkseid and finish us off. And he gives I got to go with Cyborg on this one. I have to. I
feel like there's a lot of love for Wonder Woman, but I feel like Cyborg really is the heart of the movie. And if we're kind of rating based on their contributions to making this movie great, if you want to say that, or just contributing to the movie, or just making the movie what it is. I want to give it to Cyborg, especially since he did, like you said, he got done dirty in the last cut. So let's give it to Cyborg for now. I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman's still going to be in the top, folks, so don't worry. Let's go to Aries Ryan Choi. I think Ryan Choi takes it fairly in this movie. Mostly just put in there to round this bracket up to 24. Martian Manhunter, Iris West. Equal, I think, cameos, except for
Manhunter.
Iris West did create a scene for Flash to shine in. Those sneakers exploding. I don't know which sneakers they were, because I'm not a sneakerhead, but they were Jordans or something like that. Pretty impressive. And I like how it did set up, because I was talking with some of my buddies later, and they're like, well, where's the scene where Flash saves all the people? You know, the save one thing. Which just I did like. One. I'm like, they've established that if he just tears off, he blows up his shoes. So if he's holding a person to save them, they become skeletons, right?
Yes, and that was in part. He actually never carried anybody in this movie.
Yeah. I think easy button wise, that fixes a lot of things. Of why doesn't he just go around and do the Quicksilver? Poke this guy here, push that guy that way, and move and pull all these guys out of the mansion. I'm like, I feel like they would be torn apart if you grabbed someone and just ran at super speed. So sorry, you said Martian Manhunter just because
I think so. Yeah. Yep. It's cool looking.
I guess Iris West could have been replaced with just
anybody.
A female character that needed to be saved, and then you wouldn't have had the awkward hair moving hot dog weirdness. He could have just saved somebody. Would have been the equivalent effect. Steppenwolf and Alfred Pennyworth. I feel like Alfred's going to take this because he's our guy.
Oh, I would have gone with Steppenwolf.
You going Steppenwolf? Okay, so we need your help, folks. Steppenwolf, most improved villain, versus Alfred Pennyworth, the backbone of the Justice League. I feel like.
All right, Lewis is saying Alfred. Anybody else? I would say Steppenwolf. We have 2 votes for Alfred with John and Alfred. Everybody's saying Alfred.
Despite our love for Alfred, I feel like. Everyone's jumped. I feel like that's how we've swayed everybody from the last couple of viewings. Steppenwolf's contribution to this movie, definitely creating a real villain with the armor. I saw a bunch of people talking about the chat before about the armor. The armor did look hella more menacing, and when it became spiky when in battle mode. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, let's go Alfred just because we love that guy.
Okay.
Superman and the Flash. I think we've established that Flash wins this.
Yep.
So we're not going to leave that up for debate right now. How many rounds do I have to play? Okay, so I think we have to do one last round. So we'll try and do this quick because I was worried that this was going to take longer than I thought, but hopefully it has encouraged the discussion of this and helped it along and be a little bit more kind of flowing. Mirror Deathstroke. I think Mirror's really. I thought Mirror's fight scene.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, okay, yeah. All right, Mira. I'm good with Mira. Yep.
Mira, any objections, folks? We got a slight delay. I'm gonna hit it right now. That's
what she said.
we're going on some. Okay, so you got to jump in on the chat, folks, if you want to see it. There's a lot of after hours thing going on, and I feel like we're really
and once 9 o'clock hits, it's witching hour for this group.
This after hours version of this podcast, but I think Mira is going to take it.
Yep.
Steppenwolf, James Gordon, Steppenwolf.
Yep.
Yeah. No contest.
Martian
Manhunter, Volko. I think Volko.
Okay.
I feel like Martian Manhunter is like it was just fan service as well.
This is a good one. I'm going to pick Cyborg though.
Yeah, I think Cyborg. Aquaman did. I feel like he did get kind of a backseat role in this, but he had his own movie coming. I think right after this. Was Aquaman released right after this?
Yep.
Yeah. So they kind of like let him tone back. But I really love that speech where Aquaman's like, "This guy's just a kid. His dad just died. Is this cool. Like, can we do this? Like, can we put it on his shoulders?"
Yeah,
I would definitely.
I don't want to take anything away from Aquaman. He was great, and that scene when the Flash tripped into him at the battle with Superman, and he just looks and he points to him like, "Oh yeah, Aquaman in this movie far better than what we."
That was great.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna kick your ass.
So you're okay with you had a problem with Flash always tripping over stuff, but he got duped in that. Twice. He got red. What's the bullfighter? The red cape.
Right.
He got red caped into slamming Aquaman.
Yeah.
Kind of. What are they called? Matador. He got Matador. He got take a bow.
No, he only fell twice in this movie, in the this actual movie. So one of them is because he ran out of road when he was trying to reignite the mother box. So
was there a line about Aquaman talking to Scott brings up does Aquaman talk to fish? He says something about shrimp or something like that to Flash, or I don't know. There was some joke where
there was something about that, but yeah, that line though about Batman says, "Oh, so you talk to fish?" I hear you, but that there was no. Wasn't there. He goes, "It's not the fish; it's the water." I can't remember if that was in this movie or in. Anyways, okay. Martha Kent, Lois Lane. I would actually go with Martha, but I'm easy either way.
I want to give it to Lois just because I like her storyline, the fact that she would.
Arkham, thanks for joining us. Sorry you have to go. Try to follow up the last little bit if you can. Come back and we'll because we're going to talk about the nightmares scene before we get out of here.
Yeah. Okay.
Lois Lane.
Yeah, let's wrap this up and see what the end result is. So, Joker, Ryan Choi. I think Ryan Choi, the Atom. Iris and Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor already loses every
Iris
sorry,
was
Lex.
even
Sorry, Justin Iver. Just a bad call on playing that character. Superman versus Batman. I think Batman for sure, because he had way more to do in this movie.
Yep, and he was
way more
much more integral to the team as a whole. So Batman.
Even though Superman is at the center of every single poster, but with the blockbuster, and he's only in the last third or fourth of the movie.
Hippolyta.
Yeah,
she did way more. She was so badass in that beginning. Yeah. Right. Hippolyta.
Her. Penelope. She got
Penelope. Yeah.
Lines in there. I forgot what they were, but I remember
we are flying through these. Silas Stone versus Pennyworth. Dirty. I'm gonna pick Silas Stone. I think his overall sacrifice and what he did, and also let's not forget, we keep mentioning the sacrifice, but when he's like, no, that it's a false alarm, it's ridiculous, and then he sees his son walk, he goes, cancel that. There is something. Don't ever come back in here again. Like he did a lot in this movie. So I'm gonna go with Silas.
And I can't wait till we start talking about Terminator 2. The whole, like, when he tries to bring John Connor, Terminator, and Sarah Connor to the lab in the freaking dead of night, and he's like, I just got some friends. I want to show them around, and I'm just like, why was this even Plan A? Like, this is never going to work in a million years. But we'll save that for when we get to the 90s. All right, so now let's wrap this up. Flash and Wonder Woman. I think we've already, by proxy or whatever, Wonder Woman has already kind of lost this fight. So it's Flash.
Yep.
All right, so now we have our overall, and we're going to get a Twitch ad again. So I don't know if you can see. Oh, there we go. I can close it right away. All right, so according to this, Flash is number one in this movie, going with the record. So you can see the records here. It's not important. You don't know much about sports or whatever, because I know very few about sports, but this is all things that I've learned from running Magic tournaments and Pokemon and fighting game stuff and all that kind of stuff. So Flash went undefeated in this whole bracket. Cyborg gets a second place, and if you look over, I'm going to show here. There's a whole bunch of foreign words here, but it does take into account characters that you have lost to. So if you've lost to a certain person that did very well, then you have a higher ranking than someone who lost to Lex Luthor, which no one did. So Cyborg, Silas Stone, Batman. So the Miles Dyson ended up in third place.
Cool.
According to this, but these guys are roughly the same, 4-1 records.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone wants to talk about if anyone here doesn't look like they were in place. I am surprised Hippolyta is up here.
Yeah. Hey, John, can I bring up a comment here that Comic Book Craig just came up, and I wanted to bring it up. It's kind of about the nightmare scene. So for those who are listening online, it says, hey, guys, one thing that was bugging me about the Snyder Cut was the anti-life equation on Earth. When he goes, Euxis, I guess he means Darkseid, first attacked. If so, what if Zeus hid Themyscira to hide the equation, which is an interesting idea, that the anti-life equation is actually on Themyscira. And that's why it was not found. That's quite an interesting theory. I like it.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we'll jump to the bottom of it, and this bracket is available. I've added the link in the YouTube description, so you can look at this and maybe have some discussions with your friends, or hit us with the comments. So we'll kind of get to some other things, and then we can circle back to this if we're hanging around a little later. So Lex Luthor, of course, on the bottom, loses 0-5. Iris is down there, probably most likely due to lack of things to do. So the Joker is down here. So I don't know if we want to talk about the Joker and then maybe jump onto the topic of the nightmare sequence, and then we can circle back to this if we want.
Yeah. So listen. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. So I personally, like I said before, I actually liked this version of the Joker comparative to what he did in the David Ayer Suicide Squad movie. Now I know that there's other footage of Jared Leto's Joker from that movie, that this is what we got on screen in Suicide Squad was not a fair representation of what he, it was edited considerably. But at the end of the day, I liked it. I thought it was an interesting thing. My question though was, did we really need this nightmare scene tacked on? Now, when it's already 4 hours and 2 minutes, what's an additional 7-minute scene, right? But did it actually add anything to the movie? And listen, I'm already on my third viewing of this movie. I know a comic book Craig has already seen it 4 times. He might be on his 7th at this point. But I actually don't see that there was any need for this nightmare scene to be tacked on whatsoever.
Yeah, it is basically fan service. 100%. Even if we go back to Batman versus Superman, you could probably cut it from that movie as well. So I feel like it was almost like Zack Snyder just kind of doing a final FU to the execs and WB and all that kind of stuff and saying, hey, I'm going to set something up and people are going to 100% want to see where this goes, but it's not going to happen. So I think if you did do a slim down cut, which is mentioned during our original podcast, and cut this down to maybe 2:20 or 2 hours and a half, that scene would definitely be easily one to go. And even the after credit, the whole Lex Luthor escaping prison, Deathstroke, all that stuff, especially since we know that there is no continuation to this. Now, different story if we know there's something coming after this, because then everything is as is pretty perfect.
Well, and so was that Snyder's motivation, right? Was that his motivation to throw it in there to say, hey, there's some nuggets of stuff? I mean, in this Joker scene, Gordon brings up an interesting point where he says we just needed to see the Flash armor, which was, we saw that in Batman vs. Superman in that flashback, the dream sequence. So we see this at the end of this movie during the nightmare sequence. We see the Flash, who actually had no lines, but you see him walk up and his armor comes off. You see his face. I lost my train of thought, but I guess did we need to I felt like this kind of tied up a little bit of that information. Oh, my point was that the Joker said, how many timelines do you have to destroy because you don't want to sacrifice yourself, or you won't die to sacrifice, right, to save everybody. So I thought it was interesting that obviously this is not, there's been multiple timelines that they've been running this scenario, almost like Doctor Strange in Infinity War is sitting there thinking, going through all the different timelines, and there only being one solution out of 14.2 billion or whatever he did. So, I thought that was a very interesting line. I mean, this is obviously, it was an alternate timeline. This whole nightmare reality is not something that's going to come to fruition, that it was an alternate timeline that is maybe bleeding into Bruce Wayne's consciousness. There's also that line where he's sitting and he's looking, and when Wayne is sitting there at the computer, I gotta say, I love that chair of his and the computer with a nice back. And Diana, he's looking at the Justice League talking or whatever, and Diana goes and talks to him, and he goes, I saw this. I saw, Barry Allen came to me right here and told me that that Lois Lane was the key. And Diana says, well, she is the key to love. Isn't that right? And he goes, no, it's much more ominous and much more sinister. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And then, but that didn't really pay off in the nightmare scene at the end. So I don't know. For me, it was tacked on. I was like, okay, cool. Somebody had mentioned it was fan service in the comments. Yeah, probably. But I don't think it was needed.
Yeah, I actually have a different. I've kind of like a semi-different theory, and I did bring it up during our other podcast. And Jonathan Yo kind of says it was fan service. Did we ask for more Joker? It was Snyder service. But I feel like what Zack Snyder kind of did is all these actors and actresses that worked on this, he was kind of like paying them back and helping them write their ships, because a lot of them were part of the Snyder movement. And he made to like there's maybe a couple extra Aquaman scenes in here that maybe didn't need to be in there, but he wanted to let Jason Momoa shine. All these other characters, Joe Manganiello, whatever, he brought in for Deathstroke, maybe with the promise of him returning. And since that's not going to happen, he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring you back for this random 7-minute sequence. Jared Leto, maybe he's friends with him, and Jared Leto feels robbed of what happened in Suicide Squad. Yeah, that he had to portray that type of Joker. Maybe that wasn't what he wanted, or that film was just such a mess. And maybe he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you, 5 minutes of this movie that I've been gifted already. So, and I think it's cool. Like, I know a lot of people are mentioning that the next one is not going to happen. And there's all these clickbait articles coming out saying WB has already come out with a stance that said it's not going to happen. But now Snyder's going to have I feel like, and if you worked on this movie, like if for somehow I worked on this movie, Ray Fisher, all those guys, if Zack Snyder called me for a favor, I'm going to show up. I'm going to take a pay cut. I'm going to do a cameo that doesn't get paid. So if he did something called like the the Smustus League or some other weird like offshoot that could use this world, then he could do it. So maybe DC is going to get forced into a box. I don't know why I'm doing weird Vogue things now.
It's just a box, John. That's
box. Yeah, I just felt like doing some fun stuff.
I think you just didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like this. Okay, this is a rectangle.
I don't know what you're doing. All right.
If they get forced into this mother box shaped thing to restore the Snyder universe, good on him. Like that's kind of cool. And in general, just how cool is the fact that all this has happened. If you're a Snyder fan like Rob, like Comic Book Craig, like Arkham Corner, who left, and I feel like a lot of the rest of us were kind of like maybe on the fence about this and just enjoyed it, but maybe not Snyder heads or whatever you want to call yourselves. But man, imagine if like this has got to be like a dream come true, right? So I want to ask a couple things just before we close it up because we're already going a little late. So we already ranked this in our DC movie pantheon during our podcast.
Although we forgot some of them.
Yeah. Well, most of us put it in our top 3 of DC. So feel free to comment, folks, where you put this in your DC top 3. But where would you put it in your superhero movies, Rob? Like inclusive of Marvel, inclusive of your favorite Spawn, The Crow.
I'm gonna punch you.
Everything like that.
I'm gonna Superman punch you.
Like, does it beat Howard the Duck in your Michelle? No, I'm just joking. Michelle, does it beat Howard the Duck in your kind of like cult favorite? But in superhero movies, I'd be kind of hard pressed to not let it into my top 3 just because it features so many different characters and they kind of got kind of done their due. I'm giving Rob a little extra time, but I feel like Winter Soldier is definitely in there for me. And I'm hard pressed to name some other movies right now.
Well, that's not surprising.
Dick.
I always look at it, I guess in this regard, John, I'm going to look at it at rewatchability. That's how I'm going to rewatchability for those comic book movies. I'm not going to include the original Superman or Batman because I think we got to take modern day movies if you're okay with that. Mm-hmm. So therefore, sorry, Michelle, no Howard the Duck and no Spawn. I have watched. Says
it's not in his top 10. I'll give you a couple more minutes.
I have watched Infinity War countless times. I love Infinity War. I do. I really like Infinity War. In fact, I pick Infinity War over Endgame because I just loved Infinity War. I have watched Endgame multiple times as well, but Infinity War for me, that for me, I just love that scene in Wakanda when Thor comes down, and everything else. Like I'm all for that. So Infinity War, it's not my top, but it's in that. If I'm going to go 5, that's my solid rewatch. So Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame. I will put this movie in there and Man of Steel. Because I can just rewatch those movies at any point. And again, please understand this is not. I'm a huge fan of The Dark Knight, of Nolan's second movie, but I'm trying to get rid of all that. I'm just going with the most recent. I would also say that Iron Man, the first Iron Man is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Iron Man 1, I feel like is definitely on my list of rewatches.
I'd probably put Iron Man for me above Endgame. So
yeah. I don't even know if I can only 2 come to mind is Winter Soldier, and potentially this. I haven't rewatched it yet, so we'll see if it does stay up there. But Winter Soldier is probably the only Marvel superhero movie that I've rewatched multiple. I've really enjoyed stuff like Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, but I've never sat down and rewatched them. Sarah mentions that Howard the Duck traumatized her in her childhood. Was it the scene where they strip him down and try to figure out if it's a duck costume, or was it Leah and Howard in bed together,
or the naked duck in the bathtub with the boobies?
That was during the intro. Yes. But Leo chimes in with his pantheon of superhero movies in general. He says Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Nolan Batmans. Oh, Nolan Batmans. Okay. I don't know why I always forget about those.
Well, that's why I just said I'm a big fan of Dark Knight. I'm trying to really include, I guess, the most recent Marvel and DC movies. That's because otherwise you're broadening the field. I mean, you might include Jonah Hex in that. I just really wanted to keep it with the most recent Marvel and DC movies outside of that of what happened came before, right? Because otherwise, it's just too big.
Scott says Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, Age of Ultron. So I will say that, Winter Soldier, possibly this. Again, I haven't rewatched it, so I don't know. And people brought up some good ones like the Batman stuff. Batman Begins, I've watched I don't know how many times. Dark Knight, if it was ever on, I'd definitely watch it. Whoops, I lost track of here. So Comic Book Craig chimes in. Zack Snyder, Justice League is his number one.
That's not a surprise. And no offense to Comic Book Craig, it's not a surprise.
No, we can tell exactly where Comic Book Craig is going with this. Man of Steel number 3, Wonder Woman number 4, Suicide Squad number 5, Aquaman number 6, Shazam 7, 8, Birds in Paradise, and he actually will put Wonder Woman 84 on this, which I feel like no one is probably putting on their list at all. Lewis Law says Iron Man 1. Yep. Scott jumps in with Remo Williams. Have you rewatched it, Scott?
Scott, man, I love this guy. Here's the thing.
Says the sex scene from Howard the Duck. Randomly, sorry.
Here's the thing, though, is that I all of these movies that everybody is saying, I have seen multiple times. I know that you don't rewatch movies a lot. I rewatch movies all the time. So all of these movies that everybody is saying, except for Comic Book Craig's, some of it, the ones on his list, I've rewatched multiple times. That's just the way I am. So I'm just trying to think, though, of recent. If I was to sit down and I had a chunk of change to watch something, what am I going to throw on? Listen, this movie came out on Friday. I'm already on my third viewing. It's outside the realm of normal.
Is it possible for me to ask if it ranks in your top 3 to 5 just movies, period?
No, it won't, because to be honest with you, I have a lot of movies that are not comic book movies that are in that, like, for me. So it doesn't. I don't. Yeah.
So it has to exist in its separate listing. I don't know if anyone in the comments cracks their top 3 or 5 of just movies, period. I'm waiting for Comic Book Craig to jump in, but I don't know if anyone else is going to have it in there. It wouldn't make mine, but I feel like it definitely is in the running for my top 3.
But you know what, John? There's something about this movie was just hella fun. And so here's my question, though, and this is a what if. This is so hard because Snyder wouldn't have released a 4-hour movie in theaters. But would we have such admiration for this movie if Joss Whedon hadn't of lately butchered Justice League?
Yeah, it's hard because there's no way to reverse seeing the Joss Whedon cut. There's no way to watch Snyder cut and compare it to the original cut. Like, the entire time me and my buddy were watching it, we were like, oh, that's not in there. That's different from that one. So it's kind of like, does this movie become weaker if that original cut didn't exist? And of course, you're right. He wouldn't have released a 4-hour cut of this movie originally. But it's an impossible question now, unless you can find someone who, the younger kids, I guess. But I feel like this part of mentioned why it was made is because of that existing history, I guess.
And I mentioned that this 4-hour cut is not made for kids, not because of the violence, which, let's be very honest with you, one of them was killing people by throwing them against the wall and their fucking heads splattering on the wall, the blood. It's just because kids they can't sit for 4 hours. They can barely sit for 2. So to have them sit for 4 hours is problematic.
Yeah, people are talking about their single most favorite movie. So Scott mentions Airplane and Blues Brothers. Rob, do you have a single, like, your absolute favorite movie? I don't know. I have maybe a top 3 or something like that, but I don't know if we're gonna save that for.
We should do that for another time.
90s and stuff like that. I was thinking I'll bring in my Laserdisc collection, and y'all can judge me on what is in that box.
If you can at least pronounce all the names properly, then there will be no judgment, my friend.
There's some random stuff in there. We're gonna hold off on that. But some people are chiming in with theirs, which is awesome. I like
that's amazing.
So Airplane, Blues Brothers. I think I've seen both of those. Blues Brothers. I've heard does not stand up as well. So I don't know if you've rewatched it lately, Scott, or if it has a special nostalgia point in your life. Shawshank Redemption. So we're going way off topic. Look at Gordon. This is why.
So people who are listening to iTunes, we have people who are
the same.
Yeah, people are chiming in saying Shawshank Redemption. Now we've somehow devolved into what our favorite movies of all time, where we've got Shawshank Redemption, Jonathan Yo says Tropic Thunder, which is a very interesting pick because I'm not sure if that movie would be made today as it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely, one day we can talk about our favorite movies of all, overall list.
Let's last thing. Let's wrap up Snyder Cut now.
Yep.
What's next? Would you just continue rewatching this, Rob? Me and Lewis have talked about Krypton, which is set in a very Snyder feel. So, like, what do you like? What if you want more? Do you just keep rewatching Justice League, or
no? I think you know what I think.
Or watch a whole bunch of CW shows that add more DC feel to your file.
No, I think. Listen, I think if I was going to have a movie day, right? If I'm taking a day, I got no kids, no wife. I have my slippers on. I'm going to watch a full day of movies. I would pick Snyder's trilogy, Man of Steel, BVS Extended Edition, and this cut. I think that day is amazing day, full of cheesy dust and beer, and that would be my day. That's what I would do. But that being said, you and I have discussed offline about this Superman and Lois TV show, and I don't want to give. That deserves some love. It's a great show, and we're gonna maybe talk about that in a future episode. So that's if you're looking for a bit more Superman, go check out that show.
Yeah. So shout out to Driver. Shout out to Running Man. So good point with Running Man. So we are returning to the 80s next week to work on our 80s sci-fi action movie bracket. So hopefully y'all still remember what happened. Which was hilarious.
We'll do a last
Running
time.
Man, crazy upset. I should take a picture of my Predator notes in the garbage. But anyways, it was fantastic time. It was absolutely amazing. So we're gonna dive back into that next week. I don't know if we're gonna take 2 episodes to wrap that up. I think we're gonna need at least another episode. So we're gonna aim to resolve all the round 1 bracket. Maybe
next week.
Which is
so maybe
They Live, Blade Runner, Terminator,
Aliens.
RoboCop. Aliens is advanced to the next round.
Oh, right. Okay.
He's going to get an auto win against Running Man.
Yeah.
And Blade. Did I say Blade Runner? I don't know.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
Yeah, Blade Runner. Let me say it again. Blade Runner. So we'll see how that goes, and then after that, maybe we'll do
something a bit different.
Yeah. Maybe I'll bring in my Laserdisc collection, and we can have some fun with that, and decide what we want to jump to next. Because Last Action Hero is in that collection, as well as some other just funny gems. I'll try not even to look at it if you guys actually think this would be funny. So I'm not going to remember what I've bought in there. So hopefully nothing embarrassing is in there. But I'm sure all of them are embarrassing because I know I own a copy of Double Team.
Gordon's asking what our homework is. So you know what? I think just because I feel like we've been so far gone from what happened with the 80s bracket, John, if you follow on the Facebook or Instagram, check out John. I'm sure you'll be able to pop up where we are, what movies to watch in the next couple of days. But I think
I'll see if I can grab the bracket right now for fun.
Yeah, sure. Okay, do you got it?
I don't think there's any homework per se. Like some of the first round stuff is, I think Gordon and Sarah will actually watch most of it already. So Aliens, Highlander, Aliens won that round. Predator, Running Man won that round. So this is a super easy decision here. Aliens, I feel like we can almost do that right now.
There we go.
I'll just do it now. So Terminator, Blade Runner, RoboCop, John Carpenter's They Live. And when we originally created this bracket, we knew, although the Predator upset is not a clear indication, RoboCop and Terminator are very strong in these categories. So if you only have time to watch 2, I would definitely watch RoboCop and Terminator, and we'll try to take it to at least this final round here. Look, Running Man is going to be up for bronze match, so we'll see if it takes the 3rd place. But I've rewatched Terminator and RoboCop since we did this, and man, those are good. And Blade Runner to a certain extent. I'm sure you guys want to chat about Blade Runner.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think is that it? Is that all we have to say about Snyder Cut? Do you
That's
need to
it,
geek
man.
out anymore, Rob?
No, you know what though? I'm not gonna lie to you, John. Part of me wanted to see if anybody wanted to do like a Discord and like watch the full 4 hours again, and just chime in. So you know what? Hit me up on social media, at Rob Gadet on Instagram or Twitter. If it's something that you think you might want to do one night, the next couple of weeks, if you feel like you want to rewatch this, let's try to set something up. John doesn't have to make it because he's got a busy schedule, but I can find the time in an evening for 4 hours, and we can maybe just all watch together if anybody wants to do it in a Discord, and if we have enough people who are down for that. So I'd be down for that because I'm going to keep watching this movie. So yeah, let me know.
Gonna keep watching it over and over again. Are you ever gonna go watch the Josh Whedon cut in its entirety?
What? Sorry, I'm sorry. You cut out. What?
Oh, are you ever going to watch the Josh?
No, sorry, cut? I can't hear you. Nope. Sorry, say it again.
It doesn't exist. That does not exist.
I don't know. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Steve does mention Godzilla versus Kong. I don't know if that comes out between now and then.
Well, there's a bit of a controversy about that very quickly because we have to get going. Is that Warner Brothers Canada have said that Godzilla vs. King Kong is only will be released in Canada in theaters, which is really shitty because there's less than 3% of theaters in Canada are actually open and running. I've reached out to Warner Brothers Canada. I've even sent a tweet out to Legendary Pictures to say like this is wrong. In the US, our friend Scott, they will have it on HBO Max. I thought it was going to be like 84, WW 84, where we could at least pay $30 and rent it through whatever service, but they're not doing that. It's strictly going to be in theaters. So we may not get to see Godzilla versus Kong for a few months, John, until it actually ends up coming out for rental, which could be in May or June. So who knows? So that's right now, that's the bit of a controversy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, it's appreciate everybody. Man, we had a lot of feedback tonight, and I want to thank everybody who took the time out to watch us tonight to recap these last 4 weeks and recap this. So thank you to everybody, and obviously to my buddy John for putting this all together as well.
Yeah. I think this is the first time I've ever done like a full out rewatch like this, and I'm pretty happy I did it. That was a hell of a lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody here. And looking forward to coming here on the Monday to talk with you guys. Hopefully that ranking game didn't get too silly and take up too much of our time, but I feel like we did get to talk about the movie a lot during that. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I feel like we did stack the deck. Like I feel like everyone that was in it with us to rewatch those last couple weeks, they all were pretty pleased with the movie.
Yeah.
I feel bad for like it kind of felt like we were all in it together. So if someone just like was watching it, I guess just on their own with no one to talk to, I guess that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? So, but
it does. So that's why if people want to join us on Discord, John, and if you're up for that, we can try to find a time and then we can broadcast it out. And if you're not able to, then that's okay. But yeah, I'm down to watch this. So please, if people want, I know that some people, I know Sarah said it. I think Scott was all good for it. I think Jonathan, Lewis may or may not have been. Comic book credits down, obviously. So yeah, let me know. Hit me up on social media.
Or someone out there, I've had set up a Discord on my list of back burner stuff for the longest time. So if anyone else wants to jump in there, or I guess you could use Twitter or whatever, or something.
Yeah, and we can watch it together. So with that, I gotta go.
All right. Anyways, thank you again so much for watching, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
See you again very soon.
Yeah, have a great night. Bye, John.
Bye.